As Congress was unable to pass a new farm bill before leaving Washington for the general election, farmers and ranchers now wait. They wait for a lame duck Congress to move in some capacity on new legislation. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor from Virginia has said he's committed to bringing the issue to the floor after the election. There are differences in the Senate and the House versions of the bill, though, and those differences could impact Nebraska producers. We talked with Brad Lubben about that Wednesday and asked if something would get done by January.
It's safe to say something will happen. Post-election, Congress does come back in a lame duck session. Congress, given where we stand right now with the Farm Bill debate, they clearly will do something because they have to avoid permanent legislation coming into effect in January. We can't manage permanent legislation that dates to 1949, so we're either stuck with, can we wrap this up in 2 months and get a new Farm Bill through, or do we find a way to get a short-term extension through that pushes off the debate to the new Congress?
Let me just ask you a blunt question before we get into specifics. Are there major differences, as you look at Nebraska producers, are there major differences between House version and Senate version?
Well, there are two fundamental differences between the House version and Senate version. Both of them propose a revenue-based safety net. But number one, the House also proposes a price-based safety net as an alternative. For our Midwestern commodities in Nebraska, it just doesn't appear that that price safety net matters given current price levels that we see for corn, soybeans, sorghum, wheat. If you're in the South, you worry a little bit more about price if you're a cotton or rice or peanut producer, but not here. And we're just at price levels where those do look irrelevant. So the revenue-based safety net looks like the critical part. And between the House and the Senate, the differences are relatively minor. The other big difference between the House and the Senate bill is relative to nutrition and that amount of spending, and that's just a problem that they've got to solve. And
which
if
will
they're
be
going to get the bill done. That's right.
Which will be fun. Crop insurance differences in either?
Crop insurance between the two are relatively consistent. There is a new program proposed called Supplemental Coverage Option, or SCO. Think of it as an area-based crop insurance plan that you could choose to cover part of your deductible that you don't cover with your individual plan. If you choose the commodity program and you have a revenue-based safety net that helps cover some of that loss, but there's still a gap between where that safety net kicks in and kicks out and where crop insurance kicks in on your farm. That gap might be coverable with a supplemental plan here.
Ultimately, as you said before on the show, that what producers want is a protection for crop insurance.
Right.
Is it to the extent that they want on either version?
Frankly, crop insurance has been essentially protected, not touched in large measure in this Farm Bill debate to date. They're adding provisions with supplemental coverage, they're adding a few other provisions, but the fundamental components of crop insurance are in place. And producers basically started this Farm Bill debate by saying crop insurance works, don't mess it up. And Congress has not rewritten it to date. There's a chance that we have to revisit that discussion as we go, because commodity programs and supplemental coverage and individual crop insurance are starting to intermesh with each other in a much more integrated framework. But at the moment, crop insurance is the foundation, and it looks like it will stay so.
Again, you see something happening before January 1st, because if it doesn't, we'll have to meet again because we'll have a whole new thing.
Correct. Something will happen. That we have the heavy hammer of permanent legislation, which really isn't feasible politically, economically, even technically. We have the heavy hammer that says you have to do something to forestall that before January 1st. The short-run solution is a whole new bill that finishes what both the House and the Senate have started, that helps to provide some savings, that helps to pay for the other major questions in December. Tax policy and budget policy. The longer run scenario is we still can't get it done, but we can pass an extension that pushes off the permanent legislation from taking effect, gives a new Congress time to act.